Welcome to this week's Urban Education Network Capital Update video. I'm Margaret Buckton, your UEN Executive Director. In today's video, we're going to discuss some of the floor action that happened in the House and Senate this week. We'll go through the charter school bills and give you a status and a comparison of what's in them. Some unique social studies proposals, what's up with those? And then what's coming next, continued floor work before the next funnel. And we'll leave you with some advocacy actions for the week. Well, at this time of year, we see a lot of debate on the floor of the House and Senate and fewer committee meetings because they're right at that point where bills that cleared the first funnel have to get out of that chamber over to the other side before they can schedule those subcommittee meetings and committee meetings to get it across the finish line. So we're right in that bubble. Two bills were sent to the governor this week. House File 2610, the House and Senate both passed the Career and Technical Community College Updating Bill, and House File 2331, a civics excellence seal that can go on transcripts, and that's completely permissive for school districts to participate in that. The Senate passed 4 bills that impact education. The DE's bill that they had pre-filed on talented and gifted and advanced pathways got through the Senate. They didn't make any changes to the bill with amendments. It goes over to the House. Now, the House never debated that bill in the House Education Committee, so its future is less certain on that side. The Senate File 2319 would require districts to post the website for the Your Life Iowa link on your district website. Senate File 2320, concurrent enrollment in-person presumption. This would let school districts control the modality of how students access community college courses. And then Senate File 2336, a school technology impact study. Those were all approved by the Senate. Now, the House did many, many bills. I'm not going to read through all of these. All of the details will be in your weekly written report. I'm just going to point out those that really are unfunded mandates. So Senate File 274 would require that districts accept cash for sports tickets. That was amended in the House, sent back over to the Senate. And of course, getting cash out of all of those sporting events has saved a lot of staff time. House File 2244. This changes U.S. government requirements. It requires a full year of U.S. government and civics in order to graduate. It doesn't change the total number of social studies requirements, but we do believe there would be some staff work and some maybe different materials in order to make sure that this course was relevant and met the needs of students. House File 2510, Social Studies Curriculum. This is definitely an unfunded mandate. I'll get into more of the details of that in a slide just down the road here. So House File 2652 is play-based learning that would be required for preschool, transitional kindergarten, and kindergarten. We think especially at the kindergarten level there would be some staff training and some different materials that would be required. House File 2676 came through the Health and Human Services Committee. It's referred to as MAHA, or Make America Healthy Again, aligned with some federal activities. This changes some things about school lunch. The really prescriptive part and the costly part would be physical activity requirements that students in elementary would have to be in PE every single day, and we don't have enough teachers or even gym space to do that, and then some requirements for high school too. I did want to point out House File 2684. This is a priority for the UEN. It would allow any of the categorical funds that are generated based on the students that reside in your district who get an education savings account. Those categorical funds are generated for your district. This would allow those to be used for any purpose that the board sees fit without having to follow the categorical definitions. So 2 charter school bills are in each chamber. We're going to go through the similarities and differences here. So there are, the governor's bill is House File 2699 over in the House, and it's Senate File 2406 over in the Senate. In the House, it's in the House Appropriations Committee, where it has had a subcommittee recommending it move forward. In the Senate, it's on the Senate calendar. They don't go through the Appropriations Committee for the bill in the Senate. There's also a larger school choice bill that's not just charter schools, but has other things in it that also is in the House Appropriations Committee, and no subcommittee is assigned. And then on the Senate side, that's also on the Senate calendar. So we have a table of all the provisions in these bills, and the ones they have in common are highlighted there. So both bills would require teacher salary supplement to follow students, where the Department of Management would deduct from the district and send it to the charter school. That charter schools are allowed to participate in the resident school district extracurriculars. That's in both bills, although on the House side, they did amend that to include not just sports, but also theater, show choir, and band. And then the school start date was originally in that big school choice bill. It's not there anymore, so now it's not in either bill. It was amended out. And then other than that, the bills are very different, and we have concerns about much of what's in that big choice bill, especially the things that deal with preschool, where it would allow any private provider to have a 2080 agreement with the school district. The school district would have to support that agreement, but it prohibits any limitation on the slots, and private schools are not required to change enrollment or instructional standards to participate. It doesn't even say that they have to be private schools. They could be child care providers or other community providers, and there is no oversight, either from the local school district or from the state, to make sure they're following the standards. Social studies proposal. So I told you I was going to talk about this a little bit. This House File 2510 was approved in the House yesterday on a 60-36 partisan vote. It goes over to the Senate. It completely rewrites the U.S. government and civics content in the Iowa Code. And if you want to read the 6 pages of content prescriptions, the link is there or will be in your weekly report. Much of that detail is already in the Iowa Social Studies standards, but the bill requires the Department of Education and the State Board to not enforce or support the new social studies standards that have already been communicated to school districts, and we know some school districts are already implementing those new social studies standards. So what's next? Continued floor work before the March 20th funnel, followed by subcommittees in the other chamber before committees can consider bills. And that social studies bill is one of those things that may not even be brought up on the Senate side, so we'll keep you posted on what things will get scheduled to subcommittee. Also, the Ways and Means bills, the tax policy bills that we've been talking about all session on property taxes or any other tax policies are exempt from that funnel deadline, as are appropriations bills that spend money for the state budget for fiscal 27. So your advocacy actions for the week. Keep talking about property tax reform advocacy. And now that SSA is done and we have a 2% increase per student, for many districts, and 19 of our 24 UEN districts are in this boat, you have only a 1% increase. So you're going to have additional challenge in trying to implement any unfunded mandates. Look at the weekly report and pick out a few unfunded mandates to share with your legislators and explain what they would cost to your district. They cost staff time, they cost money to implement, and they always detract from the complex literacy and math work and work-based learning and career technical education initiatives that you're trying to implement in your high schools too. Thanks to our UEN corporate sponsors. We appreciate their support and connection to UEN member school districts. Check out the corporate sponsor page on the UEN website for more information about how to access their services. And if you have a company or service that you think would be supportive of UEN schools, please send them our way. You can click on the UEN Advocacy webpage for access to these videos, issue briefs, weekly reports, calls to action, and more. And check out this week's detailed written report for all the actions at the State House, including those unfunded mandates. We'll see you next week.